I got evicted from a house by my insane grandmother. This is true, and no, it is true. And we got evicted, and we lived in a house with no furniture, no heat for a year. I slept on the floors, and that was in my life. That's a rough part of my life. I was 9 years old, and I remember my father used the humor. I remember one night I was so cold, and I didn't want to complain. I knew how rough it was for the whole family. I didn't want to complain, but it was really bad. And my father poked his head in and he said, "How you doing, kid?" I said, "Well, to be honest with you," I said, "I'm really cold." And he said, "Do what I do. Lay on your stomach and cover yourself with your back." And I never remember being cold again. That's the truth. So anyway, I started then. I made a list of things that I was going to do when I became somebody. I was going to be somebody. I was going to get a lot of money. I was going to get us all out of the neighborhood. And I was going to take care of my family. I was going to take care of my friends. I was going to be the guy to do it. And so I used to have all these fantasies. And I used to picture everything. And I used to describe the house I was going to have in Manhattan. I was going to have a townhouse in Manhattan, New York. One day. I'm from Philly, but I was going to go there because it's open 24 hours, and I knew I was that kind of kid already, so I was going to be that kind of man. And I would describe it. Every room was going to be different, and it wasn't going to be this. And I would always tell it in details. And the guys on the street corner all hanging around, and I would tell them the story. And then, and then I tell them again, and I'd add something new. I thought of, hey, a roof garden. I'm going to have a roof garden. You go up there, and it's going to look like Cobb's Creek. That was our Fairmount Park. That was our park, like Central Park. It's going to look like that. And all these things. And I was always telling these stories. So one night we're standing on the corner and Stan the Dancer. Everybody in Philly has nicknames, Best nickname. Ready? Best one was a guy kept his head like this. No, there was nothing physically wrong with him. No, I'm serious. I think he thought it was like cool. He'd eat like this. He would dance like this. His head was always like this. And his nickname was 10 after 6. And I used to threaten him when he annoyed me. I said, "I'd like to be 8:45. Just take that thing." So anyway, Stan the Dancer, he got his nickname from my father because when he would come over to pick me up in the house, and he would always dance. The radio would be on. He was a great dancer. He was always be dancing. And my father would just say, "The dancer's here." And so he became known as the Dancer. So we're standing on the corner, a bunch of us, Bebby and Dee Dee and all the guys, and he'd say, "Brenner, tell us about the townhouse you're going to have in New York, huh?" And I would tell the story again, and what I pictured everything, and what I was going to own this house. It was going to be on a famous block, with famous people and all that kind of stuff. And I go on and on. And when I finished, the dancer would always say this, "Fucking Brenner," and they'd all laugh. "Oh, William." So, evolution of time, dreaming it, picturing it. After I took care of all the promises I made to everybody, and I was still living in a little apartment, and I was a big star. And I was living in this I moved up from the one room to a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the same building, but I could have had what I wanted, and now was my turn. And I got a townhouse, and I tore it apart. I kept what had to be because it was a historic block with a lot of famous people. And I designed it and had an architect and a designer work with me, and I did exactly what I said I was going to do. And when it was all finished, and I moved in, and I had a major dom, a housekeeper, a man, and I had a woman who was an assistant and oversaw everybody else, that I had the employees and all, I had the whole thing. I said, okay, and I called and I invited the closest of my street corner friends. The 5 guys, the Dancer, Bebby, Dee Dee, the Bird, the best guys. And they all came up. I said, "I want to show you something. Come up, and here's the address." They came up, and I took them on a tour of every room in that house, exactly as I had said I was going to do it. And then we got up on the roof, and I had this roof garden. And I had my assistant bring up a sterling silver tray with a sterling silver container with the ice in it, and a magnum of champagne, and it was popped, and she pours it into the flutes, the 6 flutes of champagne. We each take one, and I was going to say to friendship, And Stan the dancer went, fucking Brenner.